because we're going to talk a little bit about the right hand. We've already talked about the left hand, and I hope you've taken the time to sort of try a few notes, even if it's just on one string, just to sort of get your fingers used to it. And now, so I want to talk a little bit about the right hand again. And the right hand is going to be the hand that's going to kind of have the easier ride through this. And the first thing, there's all kinds of different approaches to playing the guitar. Some players will use a guitar pick like I'm using. Some will play completely with fingers. Others will use a combination of the two, pick and fingers, what's referred to as hybrid picking. What I'm going to focus on in these lessons is we're going to talk about just basic pick style. All right? And a couple of things about the right hand that I want to go over. The first thing is the pick grip. And this is something that oftentimes, like you watch like any number of guitar players and you'll see all kinds of different pick grips. You'll see people holding a pick like they're holding a pencil, people holding the pick between the index and the thumb with the fingers flailed out, sort of this way. I've seen all kinds of different angles in the wrist as well with different players. And I always wondered to myself, I thought, okay, well, you know, these players have obviously found their way about this. I always wondered what's the best way for me to, the best pick grip for me. And I came across something in an article many years ago, and it was one of those things, it was something I read at the perfect time. And what I want you to do is if you take your pick, just place it on your leg for a second. And now what I want you to do is just to pick it up with the right hand. And what you're going to find is the way you pick the pick up is going to be the most natural grip for you. It's what you're doing is you're picking it up without thinking about it. And it's going to be always like the most comfortable grip. And you want to get a grip on the pick or find a way to hold the pick where you're not thinking about it. You know, the last thing you want to be thinking is as you're playing is, boy, I wish this was more comfortable, but this doesn't feel very good. So what I tend to do is I hold the pick kind of in between the first knuckle of my first finger and my thumb. And the only rule that I give people is you always want to be sure you've got the thumb and the index finger on the pick. If you want to hold it with the middle finger as well, that's great as long as the thumb's in there. But if you're holding the pick between the middle finger and the thumb, you're going to find that the index finger is going to kind of feel left out and sort of feel like, wait a minute, I should be on there. So that's sort of like the one rule like I give people, is you want to be sure you've got always the thumb and the index on there. And with the pick, again, you know, you might think, okay, that's kind of a statement of the obvious, but you're going to want to use the pointed edge of the pick. With most picks, this one's a little smaller than the standard size picks. You've got two rounded edges and a pointed edge. And there are guitar players that use the rounded edge for different tones, but what I would suggest at the beginning is work with the pointed edge. All right, and two other things with the pick. One thing is you don't want to have too much of it sticking out. You know, where if I'm going to play, you know, you're getting the sound of the pick kind of dragging across the strings. You want to try to kind of avoid that. And really all you need hitting the strings is just the very tip of the pick. So I try to keep it tucked in, you know, maybe about that much sticking out, you know, just a little bit. And the other thing too is that you don't want to be holding the pick too tight. Like what I came across again, I think this was on a video, was a guy that was saying that you want to hold the pick just tight enough that you can't pull it from your fingers. So if I've got like a really relaxed grip and I can yank the pick right out of my fingers, well, as soon as I start playing, the pick's going to start to slowly slip out of my fingers, and then I'm playing finger style. So, you know, but you want to hold it, you don't want to hold it so tight that the plastic feels like it's bending between your fingers. you know, so just sort of that happy medium where you can't quite pull it out of your fingers. All right. Now, um, the other sort of quick kind of basic things I want to talk about are the string numbers. When I talk about the first string on the guitar, it's going to be the thin one, right down here at the bottom. Okay, it's going to go first string, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. All right. So, you know, just remembering that the string kind of furthest away from me is the first string, the thin one. All right. And as the strings get thicker, they go up in number. And the other thing too is with the one other thing I should talk about with the left hand is the finger numbers. And anyone who's played piano was always taught that the thumb was the first finger, the index was the second, the middle was the third, and so on. But because with the guitar we've got our thumbs sort of tucked in behind the neck, I'm going to refer to the index finger as the first finger, the middle finger is the second, the ring finger is the third finger, and the pinky is the fourth. All right, so that's with those kind of basics that we've covered already. When I think back to my early years playing the guitar, actually, I like to think that if you've got a handle on these things, you're already about 5 years ahead of me and my training. And as you're going through, as you're continuing on with this, I want you to keep in mind that all of these things are going to be, they're going to become natural after a while, you know, but you might find, you know, when you're playing, you'll be thinking, oh, wait a minute, I got to move my thumb back, or I got to get a little bit more on the tip of the finger, or, okay, I'm holding too much of the pick out. It'll be like a lot of little things, but as time goes on, all these little things are going to become pretty much automatic and second nature. And I like to draw the analogy, it's to like when we're kids and we learn how to tie our shoes. I like to think if I have to think of what I'm doing when I'm tying my shoes, it's going to be a rough day. You know, on a normal day, it's something you can do without thinking, and that's really what basic guitar playing is about. It becomes very natural and very automatic, and you actually give the impression that it's really easy. All right, so I'll let you sort of go over some of these things, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about strumming.